What's going on, guys? This is Cody and Sean. Sean, you can say your name. Let's start over. Hey, guys, what's going on? This is PIREP Aviation. I am Cody.
And I am Sean.
And, man, we're back. It's been a while, man. We've been
busy 3 weeks.
It has been so busy and just so many things going on. So we're just going to jump right into that. You went to Oshkosh. I went to Minnesota. I went to Austin. I've been to Mexico and all the things.
Yeah.
So
we've been shuffling airplanes back and forth, the avionics shop,
man.
trying to get them back here in the hangar, trying to clean and, make enough room that we can put stuff in the hangar.
Ryan, he's moved in officially.
Ryan's here. Ryan got his pink slip a couple weeks ago, the week before Oshkosh.
Congratulations, Ryan.
Yep.
Whoops. There you go. That's the one. There you go. Congratulations, Ryan Fiscus. Serial number 59. I'm 50. I'm 58.
Okay.
So
that first one I think is what you used on his first landing.
No.
Anyway, it could be that one.
We're gonna stop with that. But here's the thing, Ryan. Congratulations. It's a pretty big.
It's
feat.
a massive accomplishment.
7 years.
7 years. In all fairness, though, he wasn't building for 7 years. He took a almost a 4-year break.
Ended up buying a house. He moved it out of my shop. He switched engines and.
But the last 2 years, he has been busting his butt, working.
It's been
nonstop,
insane.
getting it going. So,
and he's an HVAC tech. So if anybody knows anything about HVAC, you're working 3,000-hour weeks during the summer and hardly much in the winter. And yet he has still found a way.
He's been doing it
to do it. So he's in here full time. We got a new tug. That's super fun.
Yeah, we'll
and
have to do something with that later on.
But yeah, it's just been a lot of stuff in a short span of time.
Yeah.
So Oshkosh, you
Oshkosh was cool this year.
Yeah.
The neat thing about Oshkosh, once you've been a bunch of times, best way to explain it to me is every year when I go to Oshkosh, there's kind of a theme.
Yeah.
So if I'm building an airplane at the time, it's like, okay, I'm trying to get ideas or look for new tools or new, what kind of avionics am I going to put in there? Stuff like that.
Yeah.
That's kind of was the theme a few years ago. And when you have a flying airplane, like last year for me, kind of the theme was showing off my wrap and just hanging out. And this year was kind of different. So this year, I've got a buddy of mine that he actually wanted to go last year, fairly new pilot. And I'm told him I was going to fly the Panther up there, and he's more than welcome to, fly with me in a separate airplane.
Well, and he had a Citation CJ5 that he was. I'm just kidding.
Yeah, well, it started with a C.
He didn't have it.
And did it have a 5 in it?
No,
I guess not. So anyway, so he was going to follow me up, and then he got nervous and didn't want to do it, which I can't blame him, because thinking back, the very first time that I flew into Oshkosh, I had a friend that had done it before in the right seat, kind of show me the ropes, and then even with you. The first time you flew into Oshkosh, I picked you up in Fond du Lac, and you got to kind of see,
experience it.
It's always easier to me to experience it or observe and then do, true on-the-job training.
But the NOTAM has changed.
It's changed. It's
the notice to airmen.
No, what
has changed? What is it? Notice to air.
I can't remember.
Mission. Notice to air mission is what it's called. Anyway.
But so it's
but it's changed different. A little different now,
but it's better, and we'll get to that here in a little bit.
Okay.
But so anyway, my buddy ended up not going last year, and I flew the Panther. So this year, I reached out to him because I knew that I wasn't going to have an airplane this year to fly. Sold the Panther and the Piper's in avionics, so I'm like, hey, do you still want to go? If so, I'll fly right seat, and I'll kind of handle all the. The navigation and watching for planes and, teaching them the NOTAM and all that stuff. So it worked really well. So, we ended up going that route in his 207.
207, not a CJ5.
Big old 207, which is, I've never flown in a 207 before, so that was interesting.
It's like a 182 on steroids.
Mm-hmm. But in kind of pre-flighting, going over the mission before, I'd called him. it was a few nights before, and because I kept leaning on him, have you read the NOTAM yet? Do you know the NOTAM forwards and backwards? Just wanting him to, basically trying to prep him for when he does it by himself next year, hopefully. And
you can't just fly up there and read the NOTAM the airport before.
No,
you got to study.
You need to understand what's going on.
Yeah.
Now, there's all these cool things that they did this year, though, with the, they have the EAA videos where they show people flying each route that you might get, which is really cool. So you get to see it. But they did that, and I don't know a lot about it, but I remember hearing about the flight simulator thing. Okay. So VATSIM, which is the simulator for air traffic controllers that, control all these guys flying the flight sim, they did a deal where the actual controllers that work Oshkosh were on the software or the computer simulator. You could get in Microsoft Flight Simulator 2020 and you fly the approach into Oshkosh. Okay. They tell you to rock your wings. I mean, the whole 9 yards. So they did that on certain nights leading up to Oshkosh. So you could really practice
that. That is really useful.
It's really cool.
Yeah.
And a lot of people talk bad about the simulators, but I'm a big proponent of them. You're not going to learn to fly, but you're going to learn procedures. And, if you've got a good one, I mean, you can, it helped me a lot when I was doing my instrument training.
When I did my training, my instructor said that exact thing. He goes, and this is back in 2002. He's like, you must have done a lot of flight simulator. And I said, yes, I have. So I encourage flight simulator.
Yeah. It's no substitute, but it's a great supplement. Correct. The thing with it is you just don't want to develop bad habits.
Correct. But you get the basic fundamentals.
Yeah. I mean, kind of along with your story, when I was doing my private training, in the first few hours, I had a real issue with wanting to flare way too high.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know, 10, 15 feet above the runway. So, and my instructor, I mean, that's a whole nother story. But anyway, he was just, Gavin, trying to give me all this little instruction. And I knew what I needed to do. He didn't necessarily know that, but I knew what I needed to do. And him talking all the time, it was driving me crazy. So what I did is I went home and I loaded up, I think it was like Shepherd Air Force Base or, something with a big, long runway, and just got the little 172 and take off land, just get the flare. Yeah. And then the next day we flew, I told him, okay, here's what I did. Please just don't say anything. Keep your mouth shut. And if you need to take the airplane, then you can say something if I'm scaring you. And he's like, okay. So we went up and just greased it. That's all I needed.
I have heard a lot of. I have a buddy of mine who he's had his private for quite some time, and the thing is his instructor right now loves to talk. Mm-hmm. During final, during base, during the traffic pattern, during everything. He loves to talk. And I took him up in the 182 recently because he said, man, I just can't. He went from diamonds to now in a Cessna 172 in a flying club. And I took him up, and he was so impressed with just how quiet it was.
I mean, silence goes a long way. And I guess
to an extent,
surely these instructors are not trying to distract you, to make sure you can do it. I mean, there's probably a little bit of that, but,
absolutely.
But there are a lot of instructors that I've flown with for like IPCs or BFRs that
chitty chat.
We're friends. Yeah. So we're up there just shooting the bull, and
but when it's time to be
I've got my learning hat on. I want to learn something. I want to get some skills improved and things like that. Yep. So you almost have to put that in your pre-flight. Okay, we're not friends on this flight. Yeah. We're going out. It's all business, and
I do that.
And
speaking of hats, where's mine?
Well, there was a problem with that. So I got mine the first day, and obviously they weren't going to let me take two hats. So I went back the next day to get one, and they were already gone. And the pink hats too. I was going to get Mel a pink hat.
I really like it.
It's a good hat. It's better than the old Dynon hats. The old Dynon hats had some weird seams.
When you spend thousands of dollars on their equipment, you don't get a Dynon hat unless you go to Oshkosh.
Yeah.
Anyway, so back to flying into Oshkosh.
So back to flying in. Yeah. So you know me. Our wonderful audience doesn't necessarily know this, but I'm not a morning person.
No.
And
he's not.
So I'm talking to my buddy. We actually had a Zoom call a couple nights before leaving for Oshkosh to kind of go over things. And And then, he's like, okay, well, I'm good with leaving whenever, early, what up, blah, blah, blah. He's like, sun up's fine with me. And I'm like, okay, what time do you want to leave? Then he said, 4 or 5 a.m.'s good. And I was just like,
let's just stop here. 4 or 5 a.m. that's if Sean has stayed up until that time.
I mean, that's closer to bedtime than it is to wake up time, easily.
That was early. I mean, it's still early for me, but
it's early. I don't care who you're talking about. It's early. I mean, it was a couple hours before the sun came up.
I didn't feel so bad that you had to get up early, because when we went to Mexico, instead of going to Oshkosh, we did Mexico. My wife and I, our flight left at 6 a.m. So that means we had to be there by 4 a.m.,
early,
which means we had to leave our house at 3 a.m.
Yep.
It was atrocious.
I won't schedule commercial flights before 10 a.m. Just, it's too much trouble. And then Shay, sometimes when she goes somewhere, she'll pick up, 8 o'clock flight. I'm like, well, how are you going to get to the airport?
It wasn't bad, because we got to experience a full day of where we were, right? So it's a little different. But anyway, so you got up early.
Yep. So I got up early, and I did actually get up. I don't remember what time. Actually, I got up at like 4:45, and I got to the airport about 5:30, 5:45. He was getting the plane ready.
You didn't leave that early.
We were wheels up at 6.
Okay.
So I mean, it wasn't too bad.
Okay.
Just leading up to it. So wheels up at 6. And, so we got to see the sun come up and all that good stuff, which is always beautiful. I mean, when I am finally awake in the early morning like that, I do like
nice.
it. It's just getting to that point.
It is.
That's the hard part. So anyway, so yeah, I mean, it was a really good flight up there.
Uneventful?
Uneventful. Yeah. We stopped twice for fuel. And I can't for the life of me remember without looking at my flight log, where we stopped. Yeah. But, we stopped couple hours in, and after about another 2.5 hours, the last stop was Fairfield, I believe, and I'd stopped there last year coming back. So that was a good spot. Place? That was the burger place, but
no burgers this time.
Well, I think the burgers were a fluke last year. The burgers are for the crop duster pilots. And there were burgers there, but they were spoken for, so I didn't get a burger. So anyway, we got our fuel and start heading to Oshkosh. And so this year, you're supposed to start, well, back up. You've got the Fisk arrival and Ripon and all that you would normally go to, but they have these new GPS waypoints and Endeavor Bridge, and then Portage, which is towns south of Endeavor Bridge. So depending on how busy it was, they would call out, this is your starting point. So the busier they were, further away your initial point was. So when we're flying in, we're getting close, and it's kind of fun to watch his eyes, because there's so much traffic, and they were telling us everybody to start 10 miles south of Portage, which
that's a lot.
Is pretty far out there, and in my infinite wisdom, I like arriving on Sunday morning. I like getting there early Sunday morning, and Saturday they had all the storms.
Yeah.
So everybody from pretty much, I think it was right after lunch on, really didn't make it in, and then Sunday morning, the airport was IFR till around 11 o'clock or so.
Yeah.
So, of course, everybody is coming in. So we get started about 10 miles south of Portage. And, and I'm explaining, okay, just, we just kind of have to systematically get in the flow. And he did a fantastic job. I mean, we held our altitude, we held our speed.
With as many airplanes as there is, I don't know if any of you guys have seen there's I don't know if it's Flight Aware or whatever it is, but it's essentially all the planes, and they do just a speed time lapse of all the planes flying in, and my goodness,
it's a lot.
But they do such a great job controlling.
I mean, they're fantastic. They really are.
Everything.
And this year, so right as we were getting started on the approach south of Portage, what I noticed this year, which is kind of unusual, there was a lot of chatter from pilots going back and forth. I heard that. and people would cut in line, and then other pilots would yell at them. And I mean, you couldn't hear the controllers at certain points because too many people were, gabbing it at the other pilots that were cutting, and probably didn't know what they were doing, or they'd been coming for years and didn't see the new NOTAM, and they started way up further. They thought maybe they were doing it right, but they weren't. So that kind of ended once we got to the bridge, though, which was good. Yeah. And we had a nice little, I think we had about 4 planes in front of us, about half mile in trail each, and everybody was doing really good. And then finally it started to, behind us was chaos. So it finally started to line up, and people started getting their positions. Yeah. And once we had about 3 planes that were following us, now we had a nice buffer behind us. We had this set up. And then in the 4 planes in front of us, there was a decent little gap. If I had to guess, maybe 2 or 3 miles. Okay. So, but in front of that was just this gaggle of airplanes. And they were sending people around left and right. And I'm just, you get to that point and you're like, you just want to obey all the rules so you don't get kicked to the end of the line, or, don't have to do the holds. You're by that time you're ready to ready to get on the ground.
It's like you're lipping off without verbally lipping off. Yeah. And you'll get sent to the back of the line.
And the back of the line was way out there.
And people complained. I mean, I read stories and just different comments and stuff online, and it's
not fun.
Just follow the rules. Exactly. That's all you have to do.
If everybody follows the rules, it would be
and flawless. Don't be a keyboard warrior over the top of the controllers. Yep. I mean, they're doing their job. And anyway.
So we got lined up, and they were kicking people out in front of us, and we just kind of settled into our rhythm, and it just went beautifully. One observation that I had, which I didn't prep my buddy on, was the 500 feet above, you've got the high speed arrival. Yeah. So he got kind of nervous a few times because, we've got this traffic coming up behind us on ADS-B. And of course, there's so much there. He's not picking out altitudes or whatever. And it was the higher, faster arrival. So once I explained that to him, it worked out well. But I was manning, visually watching for the airplanes, consulting with ADS-B, just listening to the radio, making sure, what direction we were going to get. So when we got to Fisk, they gave us the 2-7 arrival. So we followed the railroad tracks further north to the gravel pit. And once we kind of got set up over there, I'm just kind of briefing the landing with him again, what to do. And I've actually got some video of him before we started, very serious. And he flew it perfect. Yeah. I mean,
and the crosswinds were insane.
Well, we were lucky that we got 2-7. Yeah. So we were, very little crosswind because it was coming out of the west. But everybody that was getting,
1.36.
No,
there's a 3.5.
1.8 or whatever from the south. They were getting a pretty nasty crosswind.
There's several crosswind issues. Mm-hmm. There's one video of a 180 that landed.
Yeah, he ground
moved. Did you see it?
I didn't see it.
I think his tip, his tire caught fire, and then it went out. But he didn't hit a prop or anything like that.
Then the bird dog.
There was a 310 that collapsed gear.
He wrecked or went off the runway or whatever. Yeah. And then that 310, that one it stinks.
That does suck.
That's the worst. And later that day, we went over and we were watching the rivals on the main runway, and I mean that was some challenging. When you see a Corsair having trouble,
there was
several
warbirds. I watched a video of all the crosswinds, and there were several warbirds that were doing go around. Yeah. So when a warbird is doing a go around, it's pretty windy. Mm-hmm. So
it was challenging for those guys.
Oh, you know what? It was a C-47 that did a go around on one of the videos, and that's a big old plane.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was impressive.
Yeah.
But.
So we got in. We actually got a really good parking spot right there by the Hilton on the North 40, literally on the taxiway. So that was nice. I've never parked over there before, so that was the first time. And then, we just kind of started getting situated.
Yeah.
We stayed in the dorms.
Okay.
Got an air-conditioned dorm again, which, to this day, I've never reserved an air-conditioned dorm, but I always get one, so I guess they're not hard to get anymore.
I would have laughed if you didn't get one. But you're there early enough, too.
Yeah.
Go on a Tuesday, I bet you don't get one.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. And the weather was beautiful. I mean, aside from that storm Saturday, which we missed, I don't think we got
rain.
We didn't get above 79 the whole time. It was great.
It was so nice that I'm in Mexico wishing that I was there. Even the Mexico was great. The weather was beautiful. But man, 79 degrees. It's not often you go to Oshkosh and don't experience
something
crazy rain.
It's either a couple hot days or a thunderstorm or
and
whatever.
Everybody said that. Everybody said, "Oh, the weather's great."
This was probably the best Oshkosh weather that I've ever had up there. It was perfect.
I had one of my clients / friends go, "Hey, where are you parked? Where are you camping?" And I said, "I'm in Mexico." And then I didn't hear a response. And so I was just like
you went the wrong direction.
It's a bummer. Yeah. I will tell you, never again. I had fun, but never again will I go to Mexico or plan a trip ever again over Oshkosh. I will not. If I do decide not to go to Oshkosh, then I just won't go, and I won't have anything planned, because at any moment I can just be
you could just bail.
Screw this. I'm grabbing the plane. We're going to Oshkosh.
See
you, Michelle. I'm going. But so it was fun. So I mean, you went, and
it was good. So getting in, he did fantastic. Got got all of our stuff out. I mean, got. So I think I'm trying to remember. Did we go? Yeah, we got all of our stuff, and we immediately went to the dorms.
Yeah.
So we got checked in over there. Actually, got to stay in Grukenheimer. I can't remember how you pronounce it, but the one where you actually check in.
Okay.
We were in that building, so we didn't have to walk a long way, which was really cool.
Yeah.
So it was right by the cafeteria, so that was kind of nice. So that's when we ended up going back to the grounds and watching people arrive for that day, and he got a kick out of that.
Yeah,
I mean,
it's fun.
Just really a good day for watching that. So, and of course there was this whole line of people judging the landings and all that stuff and doing the thing that they do.
Why is it human nature that we want to see people have issues?
I don't know.
I hate it.
Especially there, because the tensions are high.
Oh,
you've been flying for who knows how many hours.
Yeah.
You're dealing with all that traffic, and then now you got to deal with
20 knot
really
crosswind.
heavy.
I mean, they were
component.
Gusting 20 plus,
and so many light airplanes that come in there. I mean, I wouldn't have wanted to land the Panther in that.
There was tricycle gear planes having struggles. I mean, it was.
But I'll tell you what, watching the video, some of those guys, I mean, they did a really good job. I mean, just awesome. Textbook.
Yeah.
I mean, just nailed it.
My favorite, because I love tailwheel, right? And my favorite of the landings is when they do wheel landings. And when you see the wheel landing where they stick it, I mean, it literally just sticks to the ground. And then you have all that control behind you. And those are the ones that, man, there was near perfection. And you literally have to just push it down and stick it. It's fun. It's fun.
Yeah, it was fun watching everybody.
Well, cool.
So yeah, did that, and then I guess that night we went to dinner with Scott and his wife, and went to Arnie and Ed's, which we talked about last time. The soda place, and here's a funny story. So, as we told everybody last time, cheese curds are high on the list for Oshkosh. We don't get them here, so
you do. They're just not as readily available.
Yeah, so we get Arnie and Ed's, get burgers and stuff, and I ordered a side of cheese curds, and I was gonna share it with my buddy, and so they were sitting in the middle. I'm eating my burger and everything, and I go to get. I think I had one or two cheese curds, and I kind of forgot about them, and I go to finally get one at the end, and they're all gone. So he totally got addicted to the cheese curds.
That's amazing.
So we ended up having cheese curds multiple times. So it was kind of interesting. So did that. And then, talking about the theme of Oshkosh, which was kind of interesting this year, he wanted to go to a bunch of the seminars and speaking engagements and stuff like that, which we never do.
Yeah.
So, I mean, literally, I filled up my schedule with which ones I wanted to go to and everything, and we'd show up in the morning, and I'd go to one or two. He went to a lot of them, but that was actually kind of fun. There were some good good courses that are going on there.
Yeah.
So did that. I think I did a mountain flying one, just kind of a review. I did that with him, and because he hadn't done the mountain flying thing. That was cool. And that was put on by the FAA. And then we went to the hour and a half long RV-15 reveal, which was interesting, to get to hear a little bit about it. What else did we do? There was a YouTube meet and greet that I was going to go to hang out with Scott, and I could never find the place. So it was like, nice. For the life of me, I still don't know where they were. What else did we do? I can't remember now.
So what was your favorite? I know you did Dynon, right? Because you were kind of my eyes and ears on the ground.
Yeah, I think I asked them more questions for your install than mine.
Thank you, Dynon.
Mainly because I hadn't gotten mine back yet. So,
not a sponsor, but thank you, Dynon.
Yeah, would like to be a sponsor.
Would like to be a sponsor. I love my panel.
Yeah, and I'm loving mine too.
Yeah.
So favorite thing, man, I don't know.
All right, think on it, because I experienced a little Oshkosh at my house, and I'm gonna just put a little comment on it. I loved it, and I thought it was gonna fill my heart, and it did at that moment. But after Oshkosh started, it was just all these emotions and memories. And you know what's funny? I hope you're still thinking about what your favorite part was, because
I'm thinking
both my parents, even my dad, right? I'm not going. It's so, a lot of older people are so used to the 70s and early 80s where experimentals really started kicking off, home builds, right? And people could, back then a kit was $8,000, which for a 2-seat airplane isn't too bad, but your kit was also literally a tree that they would just cut down, and you would have to mold it and form it and shape it. Yeah, and that's your planes. You've got paper, right? Paper planes. And now kits nowadays are so different in comparison to what they used to be, where you have pre-punched, pre-lined up holes.
Oh, yeah.
And it's just...
I mean, some of them are already match drilled. Yeah. I mean, you don't even have to deburr. They're ready to go.
Yeah. Ooh.
Clecoed together in rivets.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Ooh.
I think most of the new Vans kits are that way.
Okay.
So I may be wrong.
With that being said, though, my dad and I was just talking to my mom today, and she was mentioning how this guy's about 92, and he's like, I don't want to go to Oshkosh. It's too commercialized, and it's changed. 20 years ago.
Oh yeah.
I was telling my mom again. I was like, 20 years ago was it was 19, was the centennial of Orville and Wilbur Wright in 2003. Right. And so I remember going there and what vehicle I drove and brushing my teeth in the mirror and all that stuff because again, it's just camping and it has changed even since then, because when AirVenture became AirVenture, it used to be just Oshkosh. And now it's AirVenture. And that I think was 98 or 99. So either way, it's different. So these older people, even like my dad, I'm not going, but Oshkosh started. Right. And he goes, this would be the day that we would be driving. This would be the day that we would be setting up. We would be saving a spot. And I told Michelle the same thing. This would be the day that we're getting ready to leave and driving 2 days and da-da-da-da. And there was just memories came back. And even my kids, I wish. So again, back to, I will never, ever book something. But we had our own, and it was fun. There was those 13, 14 airplanes that came up, and it was fun. We put a little video together.
That's awesome.
And we'll share that here. But it was a good time. But favorite thing about Oshkosh this year?
So it's not going to be a single thing. One of the things that we always talk about is we finish up with Oshkosh, and we're like, man, I didn't hardly walk the flight line. So this year... and I spent most of my time in vintage, but I spent hours walking the flight line and looking at, Pipers and Cessnas and, older things. I was kind of on a mission to find the best looking Cherokee 235 that I could find. Yeah. And, just kind of in my mind, comparing it to mine, what it's going to be like when I get it finished. And anyway, I find this beautiful blue and white 1964. It was it was 67. I think it was 67.
Either way.
Anyway, a few years newer than mine, but beautiful. Yeah. Had the one-piece windshield STC like I did on mine. Really clean panel, some glass. Yeah. I mean, it was a great looking airplane. And that one kind of stuck with me, and I'm thinking, after looking at everything else in vintage, I'm like, this guy's got to win an award.
Yeah.
And I even posted on the 235 Facebook forum, a picture of it, and trying to find out if that guy was in the group. Just
and were you able
complimenting him for the airplane. So it started this long chain. Nobody knew who it was. It was registered to a company, and I'm like, this airplane deserves to win a Lindy. I don't know which one, but it deserves to win. And
got a silver.
It got a silver Lindy. Yeah. And then the guy chimed in. He was in there, and so now we know who he is. But it was a beautiful plane. Yeah. Gorgeous 235. So, just looking at the Flightline stuff this year was kind of my big thing. Yeah. And hanging out with people, but really, spending some time on the Flightline, which I haven't done in a long time.
I missed the camping part. I like the airplanes,
I didn't.
But I missed the camping. It's a lot of work.
I missed camping zero. Zero.
I told Michelle, I said, our Minnesota trip was actually fun. Like it was, because I was comparing to Oshkosh. I was like, I felt relaxed, right? And, I guess when you camp and you have 3 kids, it's a lot of work.
Yeah.
It's a little effort, but, look at this.
Again with the light.
We lost light. Dun, dun, dun.
Anyway, where were we? What were we talking about? Okay, next topic. So one of the things this year with Oshkosh that was kind of interesting, you always meet people.
Yeah.
But this year I did a lot of waiting around. So I would go to SOS Brothers at the end of the day and usually get there around 4:30 or so. And every time I do that, I would get a table under the cover. It was like a 6-top, picnic bench, and I'm just the only one sitting there waiting, having some cheese curds and a drink, just kind of waiting for everybody to show up.
Collecting the calories.
Yes, collecting the calories. I did do that a lot. So first day, I'm there waiting, and, it's like the last table in the shade, covered. So people come by, hey, can we sit there? Yeah, I just need one seat. So had these 2 older guys show up. Turns out they're both, they're from Canada, and they flew. They flew the plane that they built. And then talking to them more, they were both general contractors, same business as us. Yeah. And just hit it off. And then later on, still have like 3 seats left. Yeah. And these couple guys from Australia come, hey, can we sit down? So we started talking to them.
Mate.
We just, talk for hours. Yeah. It's just kind of cool.
I do enjoy that part of Oshkosh.
Mm-hmm. And then the second day, same exact table, say I get there about 4:30, and this family comes by with a little girl. She was 4, because I remember my cheese curd number was 4, and she was the same age. So, but they were locals. And it's just like us here in Fort Worth. It's like, we haven't been here in forever for the air show. And I'm like, it's the same thing at home. We live by Billy Bob's and the cattle thing where they run the cattle down stockyards. Yeah. And I've never, ever seen that.
I've done the stockyards.
And get this, the guy from Australia, he knew about Billy Bob's.
Nice.
He's like, is Billy Bob's still going? I'm like, yeah, they're actually remodeling it right now. Huh. It was hilarious.
Yeah.
So, you just, the people you meet, that makes it all that more fun, especially the people that you don't expect to meet. There's always the usual suspects that we go hang out with. But, this year it was a lot of new people, a lot of new stuff. It was kind of cool.
I enjoy, again, me, I like to talk, but I enjoy those new relationships because you never know where they're going to lead.
Exactly.
I took a buddy of mine up recently in my plane. Literally. Well, that night I took 2 friends up, and one of them is the one that has been training in a 172. So we did about 15 laps in the pattern. And then I parked the plane. I get a text, hey, I want to go flying. And it's like 9:30 at night.
Yeah, I remember the not the ADS-B, the FlightAware alert.
It's 9:30 at night, and I get a text. And it was around 9 o'clock. I was already flying when he texted me. But I get down, and I see it, and I'm getting ready to put the airplane away.
Mm-hmm.
And I see it, and I text him, and I go, hey, I'm here. Just landed and powered down.
Come on down.
Come on. And he goes, I'll be there in 8 minutes.
How funny.
So he came down, and we just did one lap. That was it. one up and down, got to see, and it's night and dark, and the cityscape is just beautiful.
Yeah.
Anyway, I've been getting nonstop text messages.
Oh, from him?
And calls about, hey, what about this type of airplane? What about a twin engine? They're so cheap. What about this? And so it's really cool because he came down here at the airport and is starting his training this coming week. So it's airplanes are like a drug. I mean, it's addicting and it's super fun. But again, those relationships turn into, I mean, I bought a pontoon 2 years ago from this guy, and never would I have thought, hey, I get to share my interest with it, maybe buying a partnership at some point with a bigger, faster airplane. And but it's just, again, those relationships, you just never know where they lead.
Yeah, and it's cool. It's a whole different world. Yeah. It's just that common thread with people.
I know you had mentioned something going back to that couple with their daughter. They're locals. Like you saw a lot of locals there.
Yeah, a lot of locals there,
which is pretty cool because you can just sit in the Walmart parking lot in Oshkosh and watch the air show for free.
Yeah.
You don't get to experience it close up, but you still get to experience it. So I think that's just pretty cool.
Yeah,
a lot of locals show up.
Yep.
Yeah.
And the numbers were huge this year.
Like
650,000. So
largest ever.
That's, just keeps on going.
I read over 17,000 takeoffs and landings.
Wow.
That is a lot.
That is a lot
of tire marks.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah. So talking about locals. So another theme, if you will, for Oshkosh for me this year was, trying different places to eat. Not the usual suspects, So since our favorite Cranky Pat's was gone, decided, okay, we need to find something new. Yeah. There you go.
I'm going to learn these.
Anyway, so we went to, and now I'm not going to remember what they were, but
the burger place.
Yeah, well, the first dinner, which was actually the second night.
I only know these because Sean would literally send pictures and videos and all this stuff of the food while I'm suffering at an all-inclusive resort in Mexico.
But cheese curds never looked.
Technically, I wasn't even in Mexico yet. I was still waiting to leave.
Yeah.
But
anyway, so this first place, it was something like Margie's Bar and Grill or something like that. It was real close to the dorms. We took an Uber, but we could have totally walked. And it's these small northern, Milwaukee style bars and grills, which the only thing I can figure is, and comment below if you know, but my guess is these things are in all these neighborhoods for when there's a million feet of snow on the ground. You can't really drive anywhere, but you can walk across the street to the bar and grab a burger or cheese curds or whatever. Because they're everywhere, and they're little like brownstone looking, just tall buildings. And that's what this first one was. You walk in, you go upstairs, had the bar, and we walk in there, and it had good reviews. That's why we went, but it was a locals place, and they were having 50-cent wings that night.
Wow.
And all these different flavors. So, we had that, and I actually had fish and chips. So, just something completely different. And that was really good. And then the next night, we kind of did the same thing, but we went to this other place, and it was like Fred's Grill or something like that. And it was a loud, obnoxious. I mean, they're kind of known for being rude to the customers there. That's their thing.
Like an on-purpose rude.
Oh, yeah. Oh. Yeah. Like,
I've heard about those places. I'm not a fan.
Yeah, but it was pretty cool.
Okay.
So of course, ordered some cheese curds to get things started, and they brought out this massive
was that
thing
picture
of cheese
of the
curds.
2 pound?
Yeah, it was a lot of cheese curds, and then had burgers, and the burgers were great. Hung out there while we're sitting there. We met, everybody there was for Oshkosh. We met this pilot. I can't remember what he flew in on, but anyway. And then he's like, "Oh, you need to meet so and so," and this guy in a pink shirt. Well, he's one of the ground controllers.
Nice.
So we talked to him for like,
that's cool,
30 minutes.
Yeah.
And he was actually in Fisk on the ground at the time when we flew in.
Nice.
So we probably talked to him, or he probably talked to us. So that was fun. And then what else did we do for food? I guess
you did go to Cranky Pat's.
Oh yeah, so they
big drove to Neenah, Wisconsin.
Yes, and we got.
Is that the original Cranky Pat's?
I don't know. The oven looked really, really old. So, but yeah, we did go up seasoned. There. Scott took us up there, and we got our Cranky Pat's fix, and it was
so
really
after
good.
a 3-year hiatus.
Finally got it.
You finally got it.
Yeah,
that'll be 4 years next year.
I mean, and it was only
15
minutes. It was a 15-20 minute drive. It wasn't bad. I mean, it was close enough. In fact, I pulled it up to find out what an Uber would be, and it was going to be like $25 each direction. So not bad.
Not bad.
We'll definitely do that next year.
Do you feel like you got everything accomplished that you wanted to at Oshkosh?
I think so.
Sometimes you get there and you're like, oh, I'm ready to go.
Yeah, sometimes you're ready to go. Like, sometimes you're like, you leave and you feel like you didn't do enough. And this year I was completely satisfied.
And a great first
felt
time
like I got to,
for your buddy.
Yeah, I mean, he had fun. I had fun. Got to do a lot of stuff by myself, which is kind of nice, so you're not dragging people to look at things that they may not want to look at. Got to watch the 1 Week Wonder a little bit. Got to hang out with Dan and Rachel at the Panther booth for a while.
They still like you after you sold your plane?
They still like me.
Or Dan and Rachel,
they played a good.
Dan and Rachel are such good people, and if you ever listen to this, Dan and Rachel, we want to say thank you for everything that you do for the Panther community because you guys are truly like family. So hurry up with the cougar.
Yeah, we're ready to document the cougar build.
But for real, well, that's good, man. I'm glad you had fun.
It was fun. And then the flight home, getting out of there, it was the easiest departure.
You woke up what time?
Yeah, I mean, it was
when the airport opened.
I mean, literally got up at like 4 o'clock. We were pre-flighted and ready to go by 5:30, and the airport actually opened at 6. And then I had to figure out.
You were number 2 in line to take off.
Well, that's the thing. It's like there's no ground marshals at 6 a.m.
That's
right. I'm like, well, can we just start taxiing? And finally, a plane fired up, and he started taxiing. So I'm like, let's go. So we fired up, taxied down, and we're the second plane out of there.
Yeah.
So super uneventful flight out of there. We did have a lot of weather we were having to deal with and go around, and had some instrument to a VFR pilot lessons of different things.
Which those are fun.
What I would do or what I wouldn't do, and we ended up getting below a lot of that stuff for a while. And really uneventful flight coming home. I do remember we stopped in Ardmore, Oklahoma for our last fuel stop, and it was hot. I mean, we were home. I mean, it was in 100 plus. And that whole flight from there home
was terrible.
Was low because at that point, we're less than an hour away from Fort Worth, so there's no point in getting super high. So I think we were at like 4,500 feet, hot and bumpy, and just it was. At that point, I was ready to be home.
It is so hot here in Texas right now.
I mean, we actually had some rain today.
I got about an inch and a half at my house.
It's still 101 out there, but it feels cooler because it's cloudy.
It's great.
So I mean, it's been nuts.
So you get back, I get back from Mexico, and my wife ends up getting sick, and she tested positive. So we have had this little strain of stay away from each other and blah blah blah. And she's fine.
we were going to do the podcast
a
week ago, and I got scared. So.
Yeah, which is fine. I mean, I mean, at the end of the day, you got to be safer than sorry, right? Yeah. And it was no more than like a head cold, it seemed like. But
that's good.
But either way, I didn't get it. None of my kids got it, and so we're all fine. You fly in those big tubes with everybody sneezing everywhere, and
you don't have to wear masks anymore, do you?
Not anymore. And but even before COVID, I was like, this tube of sickness.
Yeah.
I just like flying all the more private. I mean, obviously, I'm not going to fly over Mexico, over the Gulf, but
you get so spoiled with not having to deal with TSA. You can take what you want. You
don't show up and your luggage is missing. And we got back from Mexico, and we waited an hour and a half for our luggage to get off of the airplane. An hour and a half. Then they had everything all jacked up with where the luggage was and what terminal it was coming to. And so, well, it was the right terminal, but what number luggage bay?
Right.
And it was terrible. And everybody kept saying that. So you're walking back and forth, and at that point, you're just like, it's 10 o'clock at night. You're ready to go home. You left the hotel at 2:30, and you're just going.
It's just so stressful.
And again, when you calculate that, the Minnesota trip was actually quicker for me to fly 7 hours in my plane than to take a commercial airplane.
Well, yeah.
Up
I mean,
there.
if you think about it, like from where you live, I mean, you're easily an hour and a half.
Yeah.
Maybe more from DFW. So
Yeah.
you got to be there 2 hours early.
I'm an hour.
So
It's like about 50 minutes.
For normal people driving that distance, it's an hour and a half.
It's not an hour and a half.
Drive your car like 90 miles an hour.
I do not.
Anyway.
Sean doesn't.
So we'll give you the hour, but then 2 hours before. So there's 3 hours.
I'm gonna Google it. But
and
it is
3 hours on the back end.
It is 3 hours. 3 hours
now
flight up.
Insert whatever time it takes to fly your airplane versus the 2 or 3 hours on the commercial plane. It's not that bad.
Well, and then with my parents, you got to fly into Minneapolis and then have a layover, and then you tack that on top of it. So you're tacking another 2.5, 3 hours, and then it's still a 45-minute drive from their house.
Yeah.
And so even with the flat tire and the event that I had, it was still quicker.
Yeah,
so we got back, right? You got back, and we're like, hey, let's do this and do that. You still had to get your plane. Your plane was finished, and
yeah, you finished it while I was in Oshkosh.
And so we you got to pick that up, and
then we took yours in for a few squawks that you had.
Yep. And
it's ready to come back.
It's ready to come back, but we've been having all this rain, and of course, when you leave for so long, you got to come back and work.
Yeah.
And
so that's the plan for tomorrow. We'll get your plane.
So we're gonna get planes, swap them, and just be able to enjoy those airplanes. And in the meantime, I've been
going to start doing some flying videos.
Yes.
You know,
yes.
Some, instead of just us sitting here chatting about it, and actually go do
good.
it. So.
You know, I did tell Sean to make some videos and such while he was at Oshkosh for
I made
y'all.
a few.
But you get overwhelmed with Oshkosh sometimes. So
it's this paralysis of analysis.
Yeah. I get it.
I'm just not there yet.
Yep.
So I promise to take more video next time.
Yes. Well, we're going to have, there's a lot of good fly-ins coming up. Airplanes and Coffee is going to be having a fly-in coming up here at Lancaster where they have their Warbirds and cars, a lot of classic cars, a bunch of Warbirds. Last time we went was like 200.
There were a lot of
airplanes
planes there. Yeah.
So
it was busy.
If you don't fly, come on in. Just drive, motorcycle, walk, whatever you want to do.
Whatever.
Come on and enjoy it. So we'll be there. We're gonna I'll probably bring mine, and you'll probably bring yours.
Yeah. May be flying with you, but we'll see.
Yeah,
we'll see.
We'll see where we're at.
Be
with
ready
everything.
to go.
I think it will.
Hopefully.
But that's it, guys. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening to our little awesome podcast of PIREP Aviation.
PIREP Aviation.
Hope
if you like what you see, click the button, ring the bell, or
subscribe.
whatever, and comment below what you might want to see. I mean, we've got a lot of stuff now that we're getting our planes back. We're going to be able to kind of show what we've done, some panel tours, interior tours. Just kind of walk through all the upgrades. Yep. You're going to be. You've started it. You're going to be working on your instrument rating over the next number of months. I started working on my commercial, and we can kind of document that. Talk about
if I spend more time studying instead of looking at other airplanes to buy,
maybe we've solved that problem.
I think we did. I think we came full circle.
You're going to keep your airplane and make her beautiful.
I'm going to keep it and make her beautiful. I got a paint job coming up, and it's going to be fun. So
it's going to be awesome,
guys. Check us out. You can just stop.
Thanks for watching.
Peace. just saying. We're gonna use that footage. Yep.